I'm trying to get the webcam position so you can stay and look at person out here. They like to cut out that. There's not really cut leaders. That's what they do. So, anyways, I'm getting onto my resume now, and we'll do something a little bit more serious here. And we'll talk about why I'm wholly unfit to do anything other than fuck around in music business. And in film, I can kind of secondarily do that, but you know, yeah, there we go. I'm sorry, I keep getting bounced back and forth with the issues with the post office and the trade barriers. On and off of cigarettes, I had a vaporizer part that broke, and it basically broke me to replace it, even though it's cheaper than smoking the little cigars I'm buying. It's tough to get the $75 together, so if something goes wrong with the vaporizers, I can't get them cheaper mail ordered anymore. So, you know, and I'm stuck spending. The depression busted me out, basically out of my savings, so that's what happens. So, career summary. I'm a skilled composer in classical and heavy metal music with 22, well, at the time I wrote this was 22 years of performance experience. Now I'll be 23. In bass guitar, singing, and piano keyboard playing. Now it's basically singing. I mostly write music. I just, you know, really don't have the time to screw around with much else because the government keeps tying me up and off and off and off, and you get my point. I also did a second major in economics. In economics, I did a senior thesis. It was groundbreaking work in the field of industrial organization, with the most comprehensive set of statistical analysis ever done on the music recording business and its structure. And of course, like all data with the early apples, basically ended up getting lost because, well, you know, the computers just have to get updated, and I forgot to take the data with me. It wasn't. I had been moved in because, you know, I don't want to get into it. I had so many issues just trying to type that paper up. I was forced to type it up on WordPad, and yet I still got through it, got all the work done, everything, all the research, and yeah. So what I established was at the time, and this would have been about 2002, that 4 companies basically controlled somewhere between a 95 and 99% market share of the distribution in the United States for music. And I said, well, this is a good thing to know going into music business at a later point. And it did indeed turn out to be handy, and I'll get to that later. I've also completed statistical research into sports gambling, including category studies of the NHL, WNBA, club, and international soccer. Basically, now I have databases that I'm developing on all of them, although now that I'm campaigning, I had to break off that work. That used to be considered, was at the height of the economic boom here, was considered to be still legitimate work. Even on the street, I could come into a casino every day, drop $5 on a sports bet, or play video poker, which is what I mostly did for the first 4 years I was here. I had never had much more than a $600 bankroll with me. It made maybe like $3 an hour tops with all the complimentaries thrown in, and it was okay. And basically what I'm doing is the house takes a rake off of the players who are losing money, and because sometimes the casinos do lose over the short term to players, the pros come in and we help provide financing for additional development. We provide insurance at the sports book when you know how to turn a profit, so it backs them up so they can lay out even more over lines that are favorable to the house. They don't just give you a fair bet. Remember, when you're seeing a Vegas line, that's not the actual fair odds. What's actually going on with that is that you're seeing something that's likely stilted if you're not from around here, towards something what you think is going to be like an easier bet, like the New England Patriots. Oh, it's a slam dunk going off at minus 2,000, and oh shit, they lost, and I laid $2,000 to win 100, you know, and just lost the bet because it loses more times than you would think. Not that it loses often, but it loses more times. So the house takes money on the underdogs and either pays us less or pays us something, cut of it, and waves a vig, you know, to take money. And now if you're a tourist and you're coming in, it's just one night, maybe betting the New England Patriots at minus 20,000 is right. You know, if you can afford to do it, and it's easy money, man. I mean, it hits more often than not for sure. You know, you could. And that's probably maybe even the right play. But if you're living here and doing this stuff day to day, you want to be on the other side of that. You want to be in those spots where the house needs some help so it can lay out and take more. So just remember that when you're betting. That line, like, most of those lines are fair. Some of those lines, however, are not. And it's not going to be what you think. It's not going to be the obvious choice. And that's the best I'm going to say about handicapping. When you see the actual numbers, and I'm not disclosing them, I'm not publishing those are my private numbers. I mean, just simply explaining, when you see them, it's kind of eye-popping how the hustle works with it. So now, I'm, like I said, I was a composer from 1997 to the present time, although I haven't written much music recently. I periodically come in and do some. Because the campaign is going to take up some time, and I kind of don't want the government wasting it. I may do some harmonic analysis or just analysis and historical work with you guys over the Bartok string quartets. I might do those as campaign videos because I really, might as well hang out. Hey, right? It's a political campaign. It gets boring otherwise. Talk about something else while we're sitting around with my concession. I'm also the founder and sole proprietor of Twin Ravens Records. And yes, ASCAP, that is me. Please don't get rid of the name. I'll negotiate with you about the dues. I just, see what these guys are doing. I was from 2011 to the present. Been involved in government claims work from 2011 to the present as a consumer, as a taxpayer. I've been involved in semi-professional gambling 2006 to 2009. Which I played tournament poker online on PokerStars. I played small stakes tournament, and I was feared. The name Wildman, oh yeah, actually came from the little dealer. Automated dealer, when I'd win a pot, it'd say, "Take it down, Wildman, oh yeah." And it used to drive like fully grown men with lots of money on tilt, and they'd just throw it off to me. So, that worked out. And the name stuck. And now when I'm horsing around with gaming, which was what originally these were going to be about, but I guess not now. Yeah. So yeah, and then I was a member of a rock band called Scarred. I was involved in performance and composition for them, playing keyboards, bass, and singing, 1999 to 2001. So when you're digging up old fans, I want everybody to know the old fans who have found the LP on the Library of Congress, and I fucking love all of you. I love every single one of you, no matter what happens. All of you. I don't care if you agree with my politics or want to vote for me or not. You can come argue with me anytime. I love all of you. I mean, except unless you're doing something that's a little bit creepy. Please do me a favor. Do not cut yourself. We do not like that. The band would never have stood for that back in the day or now. Like, write it on you in lipstick like Kiss or something like that, please. Really, like, we're not violent. Like, the whole point of that was, like, we get to do this stuff and act this stuff out with those instruments and microphones so that nobody gets hurt. And you guys can vent and we can vent. And we're doing that together, and we're saying, hey, look, we got hurt by all the violence, all the violence that's happened here domestically to us in the United States growing up. And no, it's not just family. I mean, it's the corporations. You see what we grow up into and what they're going to send you off into, and yet I'm sitting around with a bunch of grown men and women and want to keep perpetuating all this bullshit. Yeah, F them. I want all of you to say fuck them. Yeah, you want out of these fucking jobs. Like you don't want to fucking be like sweeping up fucking ground after everybody else. You want things like recycling bins where consumers are forced to pack their own waste in, and it's free to all the taxpayers. And basically, like, you're not having to, like, they got to do it themselves. You're not having to clean it up. I mean, like, you want robots doing it, and you want to sit around and watch the robots. Like, part of the problem is people need to assert to the owners directly. Like, write your own order when you're working for somebody. And just write them and tell them what it is that you need at work to make your job easier, safer, and comfortable. And put pressure on them to spend the money. OSHA's over there. Just go look up those regulations. They do retaliate. That's part of the problem. That's why you need a guy like me running it, because I don't care how much you're fucking off. We need the work done. That's real. But it's music. It's adult video and nude modeling. And it's economic work where it's not making money. It's just helping make change. Yeah, we can horse around when there's no money in it, So I was got my master's degree in music at the California State University of the East Bay, where I studied under the guys I really spent time with were Dr. David Stein, Dr. Frank LaRocca, and sorry, I'm choking on my own words right now. Dr. Jeff Miller. Dr. Timothy Sine was a music history emeritus professor there. Had been the longest tenured professor. Taught music history over there. And a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be pulling up about women in music, and generally speaking, radically liberal women's issues is going to be coming from the women in music side of it. And I'm going to do a lot of stuff that's going to throw Dina a lot of curveballs, and her campaign staff's going to have to handle this, because I'm going to be talking about the women that I've spent time with, who've been working professionally in the industry. Musicians generally, because we're domestic labor, highly skilled domestic labor that don't make shit. Basically, we send our partners out, especially early in our careers, to go make the dough while we work. And we go through all the stuff that basically anybody who was, like, say, a house wife or a house husband. Even when I'm single, I got to clean my own studio. You know what I'm saying? I don't even got money much to get the cleaning supplies. But I got my master's in music and composition. I worked with Dr. Frank LaRocca, who's also very expert in the work of Bela Bartok, and quite expert also in Baroque era music, which are two areas I really love to study, and counterpoint in general. And that the counterpoint's the hardest stuff an undergraduate musician will ever have to do in their entire career. In music's kind of taught it backwards, where in composition you take the two hardest classes first, and everything else gets easier afterwards. So if you're an undergraduate music student, remember that I told you that that's real, and just stick with it. I did a Bachelor of the Arts degree in music and composition at Antioch College, composition and theory in 2000. I studied under Dr. John Reinhardt. Also, forgot to talk to about Dr. Jeff Miller. Dr. Jeff Miller was a graduate graduate of the PhD program at Columbia University, and just an impossibly good composer in his own right, and just impossibly friendly man, and quite expert. He got me through writing Ragnarok, which I'll get to later, which was half of an opera in my senior thesis. I mean, it's as long as most doctoral dissertations are, 250 pages, or at least getting in that length. And it took me almost 5 years to complete the degree. And there was a lot of stress and pressure on me. I got tens of thousands of dollars of debt from that period of time that basically, can't really do much about because I was disabled, and I started screwing around about it. So I got the Bachelor of the Arts degree in music composition in 2000, and at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, I did co-ops back and forth Milwaukee to record with SCARD, with Ted Jenkins specifically, and later Darnell Campbell and Nick Seward. So I had a girlfriend at the time who said, if you're going to survive your family, you probably should go back to school and finish your economics degree. I'd started at Wisconsin-Milwaukee and had transferred to Antioch after 3 years of studying there and taking piano lessons. Then went to Antioch and then came back, and about 2 years later had my second major in economics from there. I specialized in industrial organization, learning about the industrial structure and did mathematical measurements of them, statistical measurements of how much oligopoly power, which is when a handful of companies control an industry. You also have other things called monopsony, which is what the United States is trying to do, is exercise monopsony, power over its own labor. Well, that's going to give them a lot of pricing leverage that I think you're not going to like from the Republicans, and definitely not going to long-term like from the U.S. government. So that's it. I did a lot of work in ethics in the last few years, and that's basically internal affairs. A lot of times people try to injure each other, or injure the economists in retaliation over the money. And I go over to trained to go over to the internal affairs department from labor economics, knock on the door and say, hey, douchebag's trying to kill me or dropping me out on the street. Sometimes it can be really effective. Sometimes I've gotten really injured going through those proceedings and not gotten anything out of it other than just, you fought the good fight. Times things have vanished. Most of the time they're really excellent, and I recommend them. If something is fishy, this holy horse shit is enough to make anybody paranoid. So, and this is why I can so casually say, to Black Lives Matter, like, when a cop does that type of shit, that's not a regular police officer, and the right thing to go is to go to internal affairs and to contact whoever you think might even be friendly in your local political community, these local government officials who are elected officials, and put as much pressure on them as possible. Like I said, the police want to keep a good reputation, but shit goes wrong, and in Nevada they can dismiss these guys, and they don't really get a lot of these right now from what I'm seeing. But when they do, they can dismiss these guys, and they can be sued severably. And the police, don't nothing tarnishing the badge there. I really want to emphasize that it doesn't really tarnish the badge. When you just say that goon goes, that goon goes, and that's basically publicly when you're doing that for the community, and the community's like, yeah, that's right, you guys did, yeah, it takes a lot of heat out of it. And why is it that all these elected people are missing that point? They just, okay, go, dude. And it's that obvious. Oh man, you get frustrated with them. Okay, so my works. I published Chad Michael Stetter, The Early Works, 2012. It was Twin Ravens Records in conjunction with TuneCore, owned by EMI and Universal at the time. The original release date was 12/7/2012. I had sent it in 2 months earlier, and they started hassling me because of trying to get it up in time for holiday seasons after it was completed. And they started hassling me over the contract. Now, why would you say would somebody go and spend basically, 13 years in college and graduate school to not get a doctoral degree, to just get those 2 music degrees and 1 economics degree? Well, they slammed my record and took it off and tried to upsell me on a piece of crap service that at that point in time I didn't need. I talked to a corresponding service that's going to remain nameless. And they said, well, yeah, basically then you pay them and they come back to us for the same service you're paying us for, and we're basically the same people who are executing it on both contract on both ends. And they said there's some advantages to it, but right now not, And I said, yeah, not. So they were horsing around, and what I did is I threatened to throw them in an administrative law proceeding. I'm not saying which one, but it was precisely the right one to take care of that problem. Now, as a result of that, and I'm not saying this in arrogance, because I had no attorneys, no money, just me running that record label. That makes me, hang on. That makes me a major independent label. Believe it or not, just little old me. Because when you can stay in the distribution chain and they can't really retaliate against you, they can't get leverage on the contract, and then therefore any other artists would sign with me at a later point. So when I say that I am a major independent label, I'm not actually making that up. So I had a woman actually question me about that, was anything truly independent? When you spend as much time doing this horseshit as me, yeah, it really is, even if I am doing business with them. So let's go on. Ragnarok and First Act and Overture was published in 2009. I've been meaning to get an updated copy. When I get up to my storage space to get to get some other stuff, it's going to get a little cooler. I need to save up a little bit more money. Like I said, I had to quit smoking first. That's most important, is trying to save my life and using that vape. So I'm going to get some copies of that, and I'm going to see if I can get some signed ones over here. I promised it, and it may take a couple more months here, guys, so hang in there. And remind me, post up, if anything I forget in these campaign promises, post up, stay on me, argue with me if you need to. It's fine. You can primary me on a primary. I mean, can we do that? Can we do a primary inside a primary? I mean, maybe you could retaliate like that, Representative Titus, just like send like people over to primary me in a pre-primary. Oh wait, they do that in the presidential election because the fields are like 30 people. Sorry, don't even mention it. Let's just have it be you and me. If anybody else pops up, I can always help drive them up because we got it closed. Everything is covered. So Ragnarok First Act No, which I'm going to see if I can get a copy for Congress. I can't give it personally to anybody, and that's something else. We'll get into federal legislation, but no, I can gift it to the government itself. So we'll see what I can do to get something on deposit, maybe for Congress or Social Security, and I'll get some autographs on it and see if we can do it. There's the Opus 6 for winds and brass, Opus 5 string quartet number 1, 2009, Opus 4 for piano solo, 2007, and Opus 1 through 3, counterpoint for voice and keyboard, 2001. That was all published in Chad Michael Stutter, The Early Works. Unfortunately, I was working broke ass, so it's a pretty cheap ass recording, but you can see how strong somebody with a master's in composition is. Even when the recording totally sucks, the music's still beautiful. And yeah, it was all like computers playing that shit. The Listen Loud extended played with Scarred. That also had a song that was on there from Doug Parker, formerly from Realm. Realm used to tour with bands like Slayer and Megadeth, and was really, really immensely popular out in Europe. We had an album in the top 5 on Europe's heavy metal charts for some years. Called Endless War. There was an argument with them with Suicide. Like Ted and I have had arguments too. I mean, some of it we parted peacefully. Later on, like it was just Ted needed money now, and I'm at a point where I still want to work and develop my talent. And while I can put out commercial product, I really want these people off my back over trying to control my art, because I may want to go back for a PhD. And no, I don't want the federal fucking government telling me what the fuck I can write in my classical music, in my rock music. I don't want you piercing my veil. I don't want you seeing Titus. Just go and when Biden wins, you two just get the district a lot of money, make everybody happy again, and make me go away. Please, everybody, and I'll be friends afterwards, I promise. So yeah, and then there was the industrial structure of the music recording business in 2002. And then Ragnarok, the whole opera is in progress. And I was going to take some of the work from Listen Loud and take that with a bunch of original compositions that I totally own the rights to, and some used music I was writing for The Empty, which has been in production since 2012. That's how much I've been retaliated. I've been left homeless twice now, and lost everything, and yet I'm still fighting with these guys just to say, hey, would you give me the time off so I can relax, take care of my health and illness? Remember, it's not just a mental illness. I have diabetes. They take me off health insurance. I have to work out. I have to eat right. They don't give me enough money to buy decent groceries most of the time, not without having anything left over to save. And they take away all my time to work out, right? Because I'm already stressed out and having sides from the disability that you can see actually on camera. So, yeah, and it's a 2-page, I'm sorry about that, Chango. It's a 2-page resume. That's why. Normally, like, you want to make certain that the human resource manager has a time enough to horse around and have a good time with you before you bring in a 2-page resume, because it's like, hey, yeah, but then it's the whole operations that I want control over. Or here right now, I'm content with the campaign. I'm not asking for anything additionally, and really want to go back to Priscilla and Holly here. Janice, Priscilla and Holly. See, that's when America, after all this culture warring crap's done, in November, we're going to try to make nice, and we're going to try to cuddle like that together. And then I'm going to help encourage you guys. I want to see about what you guys feel like, how you want to try me out as a Chinese central planner. So I'm going to start populating and unpopulating you, not unpopulating, like killing people. Just like we're going to tell you, have babies, stay at home during the pandemic, and give you money to have babies, or at least practice making babies. If you don't have babies, you don't pressure you, but just do that so we can control the crowd, control the herd. And then, like, when it's like, oh shit, too many people, then fucking stop, get some fucking birth control, dude. Like, really, I mean, that's like the fucking horse shit that they really want me to do. I mean, it's like every fucking stereotype of fucking bullshit. And then oh shit, that really is real in the United States, when, like, you got guys like Goldman Sachs, Steve Bannon, and President Trump actually using shock and awe tactics on you. Oh, boom, 75% trade barrier, there's a pandemic, let's crack down on protests. But wait, we're just, right, and this is the thing about President Trump. I know something about that. I agree with you about it. Like, on one hand, you're playing it and selling it and marketing it, and it's anything goes business, but, like, do you see what the blowback's been like? And then you look at that stuff in Portland and Seattle, and I'm going to help everybody out. The truth of the matter is, between the president, me, and the Washington Post, and all the crack journalism inside there, yeah, all of us are saying the same thing. These are basically done as ads to sell weapons. Do you want us to continue buying these weapons? Well, Dina, what do you think Black Lives Matters and all the rest of this district say? Do you want to buy, like, all this crap to use on us, your own citizens, when the depression goes on and things get worse, and we're going to do everything we can to make it better? But what if, I don't buy into what if in this scenario. I think you take the trade barrier down, you start spending, I think it starts to recover in over a 10-year period. If you don't, then it doesn't. So yeah, that's my resume. I'm going to close here. I had a friend of mine who was coming to deliver for me. It says he's a manager over for Tommy Tong's joint, and we're advertising him. Hi, Shango. What's up, guys? So I want to go grab his business card, and I'm going to come back, and he's going to take the retaliate and peace line here for the week.